I got a question for you. What do you think would be easier to do? To parallel park your car in an empty parking lot, Sunday morning you decide to go out and do it, or when you're driving on the highway and suddenly your car bursts into flame? Hi, everybody. I'm Ricki Heller from rickiheller.com. I'm a candida coach who helps people with restricted diets learn to love their food again so that they can focus on healing, living their lives, and get back to really enjoying life again. So I brought this up because today I want to talk about what I think is the best way to make the changes you need to make in order to have a healthy anti-candida diet and lifestyle. And so I know for many people, change is something that we really resist. It's really something that we find so hard to do because that's actually hardwired into our brain. We are built to try to keep things the same, constant, safe, and comfortable. And that's how we kind of avoid getting into dangerous situations or crises in our life. And so that makes total sense. However, there are times when we need to change and we want to change, right? So pardon me just for a second. I'm just going to go to my Facebook page in case I can see anybody who has any questions, but I don't see this on there. So we're just going to have to wing it. So if you're on there, please do leave some questions in the comments if you have any questions for me or any comments. So I want to just give you an example. You know, I was someone who came to driving a car late in life. I got my license when I was 16, like most of my friends. But then when I was 17, I went off to university and I basically never moved back home. And I ended up living in a city where I was I did my PhD in Toronto, where I lived downtown, could walk everywhere. So it took me a really long time to get a car. And then when I was married, we got a car, but I still had hardly ever driven. So even though it was technically my car, my husband did all the driving. And I kept saying, you know, I'm going to take driving lessons. I'm going to take driving lessons. But I didn't. And then what happened was big crisis, and my husband and I split pretty suddenly. And I had to learn how to drive that car like that because I worked about an hour's drive from where we lived. And if I didn't drive the car, it was going to take me more than 3 hours by bus every day, each way to get to and from work. I just thought, I can't do this. So I ended up getting some driving lessons and trying to figure out, I was doing it all at once, right? Learning how to drive, taking the driving lessons, being totally stressed out from the situation. Not the best way to make a major change or learn a new skill in your life, right? So I think it would have been so much easier if I had just thought about it beforehand, taken the lessons. I could have had the luxury of taking as many lessons as I needed to, figured out all the routes on the way to the office when it wasn't rush hour. So I got to tell you, I mean, I did it, but my car had a few nicks along the way, and I had a few very scary situations along the way. And I have never gotten to the point where I love driving because I had to learn it so quickly and it was under such pressure. And I think it's very much the same when we go on an anti-candida diet, or really any restricted diet where you suddenly have to change the way you eat, right? And hi and welcome everybody. I'm actually talking to you through Zoom, so I don't see any of the comments, but I'm going to just quickly go to the Facebook page and see if I can actually see if anybody's on there. So let me quickly take a look, and it'll probably mean that my voice is going to come through double, but I just want to make sure before I keep going, just in case somebody has some questions or comments, and I can go on my phone and take a look. So I don't see anything there. So as I said, I think it's very much the same for candida, because for me, when I had to really commit to the anti-candida diet and really start digging in deep and being 100% committed to the diet, it was like this crisis situation. I had a rash that went from my chest down to my belly button, and I was really sick, and I knew I had to do this right now, and I barely had time to like go and buy new food, and every time I had a meal, I didn't have anything in the house that I was allowed to eat. All I was doing was compounding my stress, right? So it seems to me that if we are going to make a major decision and a major change in our life, in our food, in our lifestyle, the time to do it is before it's a huge crisis or before it's an emergency, right? As an example, I just got a bicycle. Now, the last time I rode a bike, I was about 16. So we're looking at many decades without riding a bicycle. But the fact is, I've chosen to do this. And you know what they say about you never forget? You kind of forget. So it's pretty wobbly at this point. But I'm sort of determined to learn how. I want to go scooting around our neighborhood. And I feel like that's the best way to make that kind of major change, because if you wait until you have no choice, which for most of us, let's face it, when we're on an anti-candida diet, that's the case. We wait until we have no choice. You're just going to make that transition so much harder on yourself. If you think about it, if you make the decision to focus on your health first and you say, I know I've got some issues, but I'm still functioning. Maybe I don't have horrible symptoms, or maybe they come and go, but basically I can still live my life. That's the time to decide, because if you know that's going to help you, you're still able to learn how to do it, make it a slow transition, learn a little bit at a time, and practice and make the change as easy and comfortable as possible. You totally don't want to wait until you have no choice at all, because then it's just going to be that much harder on you. So I hope that's useful. And what I would suggest is, if you're thinking about it, or if you're in a situation where you know it's something you're going to have to do, think about it in advance and use this time to make the decision ahead of time. Because if it's your choice and your decision and it's voluntary, it's going to be so much easier. You can seek out the right help. You can find the right coach. You can go and learn about all the foods. You can experiment with the foods. You can find the supplements that are going to work for you. And you can get into the right headspace where once you dive in 100%, you'll be absolutely ready for it. So I hope that was helpful. If it was, I hope you'll subscribe to my newsletter. It's at rickiheller.com/subscribe. I send out notices every Sunday morning with information like this, links to these videos, other health information and articles and recipes that all comply with the anti-candida diet. So let me know what you think. Please leave a comment below or on my site, rickiheller.com, and I will see you guys next time. Have a great afternoon, everybody.